All right. So today we're going to talk about what it's like when you've broken up with your ex, but you're still acting like a couple. And I brought in one of our extra recovery coaches, Coach Shauna Nicole, to basically help us today. We spent, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes before we started recording this, basically game planning out what we're going to say so we know exactly what we're going to do. And what Shauna and I came up with is really there's two sort of core things people want to understand when they're looking at this question. The first one is really defining what that looks like what type of behaviors you are engaging in when you've broken up but still act like a couple. And the second thing is really what does it mean? But anyways, so Shauna, you are actually you knocked it out of the park when we were kind of talking a little bit about defining what this looks like. So do you want to sort of take the reins here a little bit on looking at sort of what kind of behaviors people engage in when they're still acting like a couple, but they've broken up?
Yeah, sure. So what we discussed was that, when you've had that breakup, but you're still texting them, you're still speaking to them on the phone, you're seeing them on a regular basis, how you still spend that time with that ex, even though you've had the breakup.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's too much more to add there other than, you're texting, calling, seeing them regularly. One of the things that I put forth was the idea of you're still intimate, but this doesn't have to be the two of you sleeping together. This can be something as rudimentary as holding hands or even kissing. Do you want to take the next one? Because you're the one that came up with the vacation holiday thing.
Yeah, so the ones that have got some sort of commitment to each other, my example is if you share children and you're deciding to go away together with the children, that's like mixed signals. It's you're spending time together as a family, even though you're not a couple anymore. So it's like you don't really know where you stand with the other half, but you're still having that family time, that family bond is still there. So it kind of sends that mixed signal of what's going on.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point because one of the things that I think gets lost in translation is the idea of other people connecting you together. So, like when you're going on a vacation or a holiday and you share kids together, it's giving a lot. It's not just giving you mixed signals, but it's also giving the kids mixed signals. And in a
Yeah.
weird way, makes everyone's life more difficult, and we're going to get into what it means when your ex is sort of treating this like a relationship still when you've already broken up. But really, the last thing I think that is a behavior that we tend to see when we're dealing with, exes who are still acting like they're, in a relationship with you is they're taking you out on dates. So this is kind of, I guess, an extension of the texting, calling, seeing regularly, except the dates are romantic. Shauna, you were the one that said like going out on a walk can be kind of
Yes.
considered as. I actually think it can go a step further than that, though. I think it can go full blown romantic dinner together. And oftentimes, what we do see is a lot of times where this becomes a very complicated question is the ex just in it to become intimate with you? Are they in it to, sleep with you, essentially? And I think one of the things that is telling is basically letting it play out and see what happens. So, generally speaking, we see people in friends with benefits situations, they'll sleep with their ex, and then all of a sudden, their ex is nowhere to be found. That is actually not what we're talking about here. That's a different situation. That's, hey, you slept with your ex, you had sort of a one night stand with them, you're friends with benefits potentially. This is almost like no matter what you do, they're still stuck as if the breakup never happened, but you're still broken up, which is an even more difficult situation for many people to be in because they're left often confused, which leads them to ask the question of what does it mean? Now, so Shauna, you want to take the sort of the fear of moving on aspect, but I
Yeah,
guess
cool.
I think it's best prefaced if I go with my contribution. So Shauna and I basically worked on this video slash podcast episode slash article together. We came up with sort of like three key components on understanding or helping you understand what it means when you're broken up but still act like a couple. So my contribution was sort of timely. Right before Shauna and I hopped on to this call, I had written an article on avoidance and if they feel guilt. And one of the things that I found fascinating when I was researching this subject is how avoidance will often hold on to guilt as an excuse to avoid a commitment. And what I think usually happens when you get into a relationship with someone and they're still acting like a couple, when they've broken up with you is that it's a very classic avoidant behavior where they're avoiding a commitment, but they're still getting the benefits of a relationship. So the avoidant, you need to understand they have this contradictory nature, which is on the one hand, they want love. And on the other hand, they don't want to let anyone close enough to give them that love. And so they're constantly at odds with themselves. And I think what we see here often is an extension of that contradiction. So you get into a relationship with them, they break up with you, but they still want to act like a couple because they still want that benefits that you get from being in a couple, but they don't like the commitment. And so